Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick video on the progress I've made so far, because a video is much easier to just go through things than in actual text and blog posts. But currently we have a fully functioning custom-made vehicle. So here is an example of the suspension working. So it will kind of level out with these ray tracers by applying force. So it's a completely force-driven thing. We can change some of these values in here for design later on, like we can change the strength of the suspension and how much dampening there is on that as well. So that's got no dampening on it, so it takes quite a while to even out, and the suspension is very soft, so there's going to be a lot of movement in there. On the opposite value, which is something closer to what I'm using now, because I actually have these values quite high for testing, it's quite a rigid suspension just because of some other things we do. But if I actually spawn the right vehicle, we should be able to see what I've got so far. So we are applying force backwards as well, but that's projected onto the surface of the road, so the player can't fly in the air or anything like that. We are turning using torque inside the blueprint, with another force acting on the side of the vehicle to make sure we grip the road a bit better. Without that grip scaler, we get real floaty. I've got a little boost in there as well, which changes the camera angle and just adds some thrust on the back of it. So overall, all the mechanics are sort of in there for the driving. I don't like this twitchiness that it has sometimes, but I'm yet to figure out the correct values to change that. And one of the main reasons I actually wanted to make my own car suspension is because I've made a neat little volume where we can, this is using world gravity at the minute, but we can disable that and have our own local gravity, enable us to do things like drive up walls and in pipes and stuff. And actually, if I stay upside down here, you should see that I don't fall, because my gravity is now local to the car rather than to the world. But if I leave the volume, we should fall back down to the world again. So that could provide some really interesting situations, and that's the physics breaking, and I've fallen through the world. But overall, it's pretty good. Something I might change later on is the grip setting. So if I just jump in here and change my grip to, it's 25,000. So just for an example, if I lower that to 15,000, what we should have is we should have a much slidier vehicle. Now, I kind of haven't made my mind up on about how I want to do this yet, because it is a bit of a, we have a bit more of a drift going on there, but it does kill your speed, and you can break the game because of the way I'm applying traction and grip. If you do manage to brake sideways, you'll stop really fast, which isn't great, but if the player is playing the game properly, they shouldn't ever really need to do that. But so that's pretty much the progress I've made for the first week. It's okay, it's been a lot of maths behind here when doing stuff like calculating the suspension forces and the equations involved with that. That was a particularly difficult one, but we did have to, if I can delete these nodes I'm not using out. I don't think I'm using that one, no. Stu, if you're watching this, this is the dampening on the vehicle. This fully works now to calculate a new suspension force to equate for the force we need to apply to make sure we don't hit the world, and also to even it out over time. That works really well now. But we have things in here like handling grip as well, by applying forces to our side vectors, and a bunch of other stuff. But it's a good start. It's going to need a lot of tweaking, but it's there, and I'm going to work on weapons now for the pitch as well.